So I'm going to continue reading this letter that I wrote to my best friend, and I'm talking about the third day of the gathering. We had just seen Dark Lotus perform the night before, and after the headlining act, the Seagate Convention Center would shut down and everyone would have to leave. My story continues the next day. Everybody on the last day was tired, and the juggalos were just chilling and resting, lounging everywhere. I went to the ICP seminar, and I got my wig flipped by Jay and Shaggy, and Twisted showed up with Vampiro. Once again, we were all in a room with about 400 juggalos, while Violent J went off on a shit ton of topics, and Shaggy basically stood there smoking his cigarettes. Jay answered tons of questions. Everybody who missed the Twisted seminar wanted to know about the Misery incident, and I had to sit through that again. And Jay told us shit like, I know what you juggalos go through for listening to us. Believe me, we know because we are us. And he talked about the whole juggalo family concept and the coming of the Six Jokers card, and he was wicked nervous about revealing the sixth image. He explained how there wasn't a need to try to advertise the Dark Carnival to anybody else anymore. And at this point, it's so close to the end that if you're down, you're down. And he was happy with the amount of juggalos that there were right now. And we are the juggalo family. So, that was some shit. I barely made it into the mystery seminar. And again, only 400 juggalos can fit in the fucking room. Jump Steady and Tall Jess were there with this big screen projector, and before anything started, Jump Steady explained that there was going to be a mystery video and a mystery guest, and we were told to put our cameras away, and if anyone was caught taking pictures in the seminar room, they would be beat down by Jump Steady himself. And seriously, I've never seen as many crazy-ass juggalos so quiet and obedient in my life. Total respect for the psychopathic family, and just a whole lot of clown love in that room, for real. The video started, and it was old footage of all the psychopathic crew, and they were making like a fake talk show. It must have been from like 1990 or something. Alex Abyss was in it as Hazad from Big Money Hustlers. Shaggy was a rock star with a long hair like a wig, and Violent J was a magic ninja. It was wicked funny, and then we were watching like their old school home videos, and they said that they would never release it or show it ever again, so it was a true like once in a lifetime experience. And then during the movie, somebody walked from the back of the room to the middle of the aisle, and he had a white towel draped over his head, and the film stopped. He turned around, and it was Joe Bruce. The room went apeshit. Everyone started chanting Joe Bruce, over and over. It was Violent J without his face paint on. I can't even begin to tell you how emotional it was in that seminar. Joe talked about not being able to recognize himself in the mirror because he's been Violent J for so long. He explained how, Shaggy and himself are just like us, and the whole Dark Carnival is just an outlet for all of us to unite and express ourselves together. And Shaggy showed up with face paint on and pretty much just stood there smoking the cigarettes. And once again, Joe Bruce talking about the Six Jokers card and about how nervous he was about finally showing it to the juggalos. And after they took off to get ready for their concerts, and we were shown the rest of this home movie footage, Jump Steady is showing us. And afterwards, Jump Steady asked some questions that were related to what we just watched on the screen, and 3 juggalos won backstage passes. So after 2 dudes won their passes, Tall Jess walked over to the exit of the seminar room, and then he said the winner of the last pass was whoever could catch him, and then he bolted out of the door. And it was crazy because just hundreds of juggalos just started running out of the room to try and catch him. And I have no idea who did, but I know it wasn't me. Alright, so third and final night performances. The psychopathic riders came out with gangster clothes on, bandanas around their heads and faces. That was cool shit. Vanilla Ice performed next, and I grew up a Vanilla Ice fan, so this was a real treat for me. Yeah, the only thing that sucked is that his microphone went out for like half of his set. And after him, came 3-6 Mafia. That was cool. And after them was the moment that everybody in the convention center was waiting for. And I pushed my way right up to the front row for ICP. And it was absolute mayhem. Now, you got to remember that during these seminars, they're telling us that at the end of the ICP show, they're going to show us an image of the Wraith. Because that was the whole thing, is that we're going to get a glimpse of the 6 Jokers card. So, here's what happens. They come out to Carnival of Carnage, and then they went right into Down with the Clown, and the place went fucking crazy. And there was Fago and water guns right from the first minute. They played dog beats. But from the front row at an ICP show, you always have crowd surfers, and they're always coming up over your head. So this was no exception. And ninjas were flying over my head every 2 seconds. And at the time, I actually had like Sebastian Bach length hair that was getting snagged by juggalos that were all around me, and it fucking sucked. So after a couple of songs, juggalos were already up on stage, and they were running around and dancing. And since so many motherfuckers were climbing up on stage, nobody was stopping them. It really started to suck to be in the front row. So I basically was a stepping stone for everyone heading over the barricade, and I decided that I was going to climb up early too. And I got up on stage, and it was already packed. And I mean, it was actually like as tight as the crowd was in front of the stage. But it was all good for a while. And as usual, the riot took over the show, and before I knew it, the lights were on and the music was off. Ninjas were destroying the stage set, and somebody allegedly started a fire in the back. I climbed off the stage when Alex Abyss came out, and he was telling everybody without a microphone that the electricity was out and they could not reveal the 6 Jokers card. And I was standing right there in front of him, so I heard him perfectly. But there was like 8,000 other juggalos that clearly did not hear him, and they refused to leave without getting a glimpse of the 6th as promised. So the cops showed up, and they used tear gas to clear the place out. And the Toledo cops were assholes, but not all of them, but, you know, enough of them to fuck our shit up. I believe that there is a write-up from Jump Steady where he describes the end of that gathering and how it was anticlimactic. And when I was on my way out of the convention center in the parking lot, this ninja told me that, you know, this is some he said, she said shit, but he said Violent J and Psychopathic, like, paid for the venue and the staff and the security, and paid a couple extra $1,000 in advance for damages so that juggalos could fuck shit up and we'd be alright. Well, whether or not that's true, that is what happened. Shit got fucked up, and it was too bad that the 6 couldn't be dropped. It just meant that we had to wait until the Hatchet Rising tour to see the image of the 6th. And, you know, at the end of the day, I went home so proud to be a juggalo. 11 years ago, this gathering was the CD release party for Tales of the Lotus Pod, Riding Dirty, Cryptic Collection 2, and finally giving us all Dog Beats and Basement Cuts on CD for the first time, instead of just, you know, those fabled cassette tapes that were turned into shitty MP3s. And really, it was only like a handful of tracks that were made available. You know, there never really has been a release date that has been that epic as the 2nd annual gathering of the Juggalos. But maybe the Mighty Death Pop this year will actually outdo that. I can't wait to hear that shit. So that certainly was a blast from the past for me, and I'm looking forward to sharing this slideshow with you guys, so keep your eyes peeled for that. Should be links in the description when the time is right. And if any of you have been to the 2001 gathering, 2nd annual, where Dark Lotus fucking debuted and basically, you know, changed the whole Juggalo scene forever, you know, speak up and share your story, or fuck the fuck off. I'm Beastmaster. Peace.